Howdy, howdy, and welcome to My Bloody Judy with your final forgets, myself, Zachary Patton Garcia.
And Ian Carlos Crawford.
And welcome to the gay stuff we love about the Scream franchise.
And today our opening kills, we have two. He's the host of the YouTube channel Nick Says Boo.
Nick.
And he is a film and TV editor.
Mike Patterson. Hi.
Mike, I feel like I could probably say what your answer would be, but what do you like? Just like a quick, what do you think why gays are so drawn to Scream?
I mean, it's got strong women. It's, it's funny. It's scary. It's clever, hip, and scary. I mean, it's written by Kevin Williamson, who's gay. So it's immediately, without even knowing it, we're already just like, it's a queer-coded movie. Billy and Stu, obviously closeted lovers. I mean, yeah, we'll get into it. But that's rapid fire off the top of my head, the reasons why. Courtney Cox, Gail Weathers. I was
going to say, my shirt answers the question.
Yes.
Ghostface, why do you think gays like Scream?
Strong female leads who overcome adversity. There's camp to it, and the gays love their camp. I mean, like you said, Billy and Stu are gay as fuck. And I'm gonna go with Sarah Michelle Gellar, even though she's only in one movie. Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Are you kidding? If they put out a shirt with her name, even though she's only in that, I would buy the shirt of that.
It should be the name in her little picture, because she had a little moment in the credits, didn't she?
I think in Scream.
Yep, she gets a face. She gets a face card. Yeah.
The thing of Final Girls is, I think there's that also relates to Scream, which is gays like a final girl, right? It's someone who's underestimated, who pulls herself up and sometimes accidentally, but sometimes fights back and wins and survives. And Zach, I'm only a fan of a final girl who survives on purpose, not by accident. That for me is they have to fight, and that's what I want in my final girl. They are smart and they fight, and not they're tripping a lot and then the killer is killed.
You get a first movie grace period. Every final girl gets a first movie grace period where they can trip and accidentally survive, Ian. Okay, let them have their moment. Not everybody can be Sidney Prescott.
I was gonna say, but Sidney Prescott and Gail do not. There is never a moment where they're tripping. They are fighting and fighting back, and even in the end when they both are shooting everyone, they're just great, pick up my gun, shoot you. And I feel the thing that people don't talk about a lot, I mean gays do, but Gail and Sydney are just so different, and I feel that appeals to gays as well, is the fact that Sydney, you love Sydney too, but she's more the good girl. She's she just wants to fucking relax. Gail is the more
She really
ambitious.
She wants to take a nap.
All she's ever wanted to do.
Yeah, all she wants to do is sleep. And that's
Gail
movie.
Gail is drama. Ooh, let me insert myself.
Sydney has to take the fucking school bus, and then is attacked by Ghostface right after throughout that big house. She is not. I just hope she is not in 6. Give her a moment of rest, and I hope if her cameo is in it, I do hope that we just see her on a beach.
I know someone messaged me. They were I hope the opening of 7, if they get her back, is her husband being killed. I was no, I don't want that at all.
That's horrifying.
I'm kind of for that, because I just rewatched 3 and I was really? He why Mark? Why? But we're getting
because her true love died. He died.
Because it's the only one that's shown romantic interest in her that is not dead.
Yes.
Oh, I was going to say Tatum. Tatum was her love interest, right? I'm going to make Scream as gay as possible,
I think that's what we're here to
I
do,
read,
right?
I'm Randy's in love with Billy and Stu. Billy and Stu are in love with each other. Tatum clearly is in love with Sydney. Yeah.
Well,
the Indigo Girls poster.
You've already gotten us started then. Scream 1, right?
Yeah.
There's just no denying any of it. I mean, you can start with surface level Billy and Stu, even if Campbell has said there's something there, right? Yeah. Just about everybody. When did Kevin Williamson come out? Did he ever have a formal coming out?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question.
It is confirmed that he's gay. And so I think it's just, even if he had never said anything about any queer coding or anything, right, about this movie, it would be safe to assume just because he's gay that a gay man would write some of that into his movie.
It's funny because I don't remember when I found out Kevin Williamson was. I just remember knowing he was gay. I don't remember when I found it out. I just remember knowing. And because I was oh, well, the writer of Scream is gay, in my brain, I was the creator of Buffy has to be gay then too, because they're creating all the things that I like and all the ladies I like. And I was like positive that Joss Whedon just hadn't come out yet. But like in my brain, I was like, oh, gay people write the things I like. So that's how that has to work, right?
Yeah. I feel like it was around the time the Dawson's Creek episode came out that I was like, oh, Kevin Williamson is gay. I'm not a big Dawson's Creek fan, but like the Jack is the character that comes out on Dawson's Creek. Yeah. And so that's around the time when I was like, oh, I was like, gay people are employed in Hollywood? What? Yeah.
So yeah, surface level, what Billy and Stu, Kevin Williamson has said that he's confirmed the queer coding with them. But
yeah,
who did he compared them to some, there was like a murderous couple who killed like a 14-year-old boy, like way back in the 20s. I think it was like Leopold and something. And he's made that direct connection, and those were a couple of guys who killed a 14-year-old boy, and then in court it came out that they were in a homosexual relationship together, and they'd written each other letters and all of that sort of thing. And then you just watch it, and I would kill to go back and watch it for the very first time and see if I spotted any of that.
Just the way they like, even before they're revealed, the way they're like it's like very homoerotic straight boys, but then at the end it's like, oh no, it's not homoerotic, it's homo. Like the way that like Stu's wrapped around him with his like face next to his at the end, like all that's very like intimate.
When was the first moment in the original film that you were like, I think there's a little sugar in the tank?
Water fountain. Yeah, the eyes. They're giving each other eyes.
Little sugar in the
like
tank.
Crazy. And it's definitely coming more from Stu than it is from Billy. Billy is the guy who's getting his dick sucked and not wanting to talk about it afterwards. But Stu is head over heels. Stu is ready to kill Casey Becker, right? Yeah. Just any sort of alone time with his baby Billy.
Zach,
Stu gets choked out. I know it. He's a big bottom. He gets choked out. I support it.
Tall bottom.
Zach, did we talk about that when we recorded for Scream 1? I think we did, right?
Ian, we have talked about all of this over and over and over again. Yes, we have absolutely talked about that before.
Roll the footage.
Mike?
Yeah.
But no, I think that like there's something to be said for, because like back then we didn't have a lot of gay people in especially genre, right? I feel like as someone who's always been like very much in genre everything, like gay people didn't start popping up in genre. Like Willow and Tara literally were the first gays I remember seeing in anything that was like genre. There's one episode of Star Trek where it's like kind of gay because there's like an alien living in the woman, and that alien has been in different people of different genders. So it's like the alien's ex-wife is there, and it's like a little bit gay, but that was as close as I had seen until like Willow and Tara. So we had a lot of this where it was like queer coding, right? And we still have that now, but especially back then, it was like, we gotta, wherever we can pull to find it, we were pulling, right?
Well, that's what we needed, right? We would take a piece of media and we would have to read between the lines and attribute our own sort of whatever, project our own sort of whatever onto it, right? Even a murderous couple like Billy and Stu, they're very cute, very murderous. Yeah. Nick, answer that question that you asked about when was your first moment in the movie?
Oh, what did I ask? Probably the video store scene. Because there's just, I don't know, there was just something about, I remember like not the first time because I saw that opening weekend, but like I remember them being so close to one another, their face, and I was just like, straight people don't do that.
Yeah.
That was the, I mean, and then I was like, I'm a little bit aroused in this moment. So I feel like, I don't know, like it's something just clicked for me, but it was definitely the video store sequence and the comments from Randy about how you're such a little lap dog. And there's the peer pressure motivation, but it's like, it's very like thinly veiled. And I was just like, yeah, Stu, I don't know about Billy. I mean, Billy is probably gay, but I feel like Billy is also, he gives me like a whole as a whole.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stu is like
Stu. We see. I see
do anything. Yeah, right. It's just more obvious with Stu.
The final scene I think is just so brilliant in just letting it all out. Right, like Stu's he's already flamboyant throughout the entire movie. Right, he's got Matthew Lillard. It's just so great at playing him, but it really does come to a full head at the very end, and he gets it's. Without saying it, it's almost like his coming out party, right?
Stu is ecstatic in that scene. He's finally like, I get to be who I am. But then there's that really great moment when Billy goes, oh, do you want an actual motive? And like they cut to Stu as he's hearing all this stuff about his mom for the first time, about Billy's mom the first time. And his heart, like he just looks heartbroken for Billy, but also there's a sort of like sadness where he's like, oh, this guy that I love is like, was doing this for her, for Sydney, not, it was never our thing. And it's like, it's really sad.
But you'll convince yourself it was your. Have y'all been in a relationship?
That was in the script notes. Okay, I looked it up.
Is it?
Is it really?
No.
Oh.
Okay.
I am very much in my OC Ryan and Seth are together bag right now with like this sort of like talking.
I support
like, thank you. Yes, this revisionist history. But like it, like he is heartbroken, and Matthew Lillard plays that like just that shot. Like you can, like as an editor, it's like that's what you look for, and you're like, oh, like this has to go. It's brilliant.
All the editing notes are just like, choose the gay one. Choose the gay shot.
No, I bet Wes was like, can we make this any straighter? Like what? Like he's flicking Randy's earlobe in this video store. It's like, well, he's licking him in the other take. Okay, fine.
Wes already had to sit through Not Married to You. He's like, we're not doing this again. No.
For me, it's the shot in the kitchen right before he stabs Stu for the first time. Like the head's tilted down a little bit. He's got a little bit of a grin, and he just likes having that control over him.
And like that's totally them
sex.
Like, getting
They're
off.
Fucking,
yeah,
you know, that's penetrating, and then Billy goes in too far. You know, goes in too deep.
I'm bleeding.
Yeah.
It's not unlike Michael and Corey and Halloween Ends.
Oh, my favorite.
No, they're not having sex.
And I say that without irony. I love Halloween.
No, I'll get anti-gay real fast.
Ends.
Yeah, Nick's a good guy. All right.
All right. I love Halloween Ends, but I do not like Michael and Corey being a thing. I don't like.
Why are you so
I really
homophobic?
cannot
Sewer
stand
sequence?
it. Oh,
The sewer sequence where he's oh my god, it's the
terrible.
gayest thing.
It's so gay.
Absolutely
It's
not.
gay.
It's so
Absolutely
gay.
not. This is
Corey
not.
was totally coming in.
We're
his
not
pants.
even talking about that here. We're talking about Billy and Stu in
All right.
Scream. Yeah,
Apple
no.
boxes.
All of these characters just have their own sort of like way that we can connect, right? Like, so Stu is the repressed one who has his coming out party at the end, but Gail has always been out and proud already, right?
Yeah.
Which is a big reason we love her so much, and that, you know, ties to the Cordelia character type. Same thing, out and proud, you know?
Which
Sydney,
I literally brought up with Charisma Carpenter when we did an Insta Live. I was like, you know, like, have you watched Scream? And she was like, yeah, why? I was like, because Gail and Cordelia are very much the type of characters gay men gravitate towards. And then she said something like, oh, I hadn't thought about Gail in that way. And I was like, yeah, they're like the same vein.
she's like, I
right?
don't give a fuck about Scream. What are you talking about? Please stop.
She's like, actually, I didn't
I
watch
wasn't
it
in that.
It's because like Gail is an outward bitch, but she gets away with it, which is something that the gays want to be able to do.
Yes.
Whereas then you have like the other side of the coin, how we relate to Sydney, because Sydney just like, she doesn't want the attention. She doesn't want people looking at her. She just wants to go on and live a normal life. So I feel like there's, you know, both sides of the coin, like myself, like I just want to be left alone and just sit in my apartment and edit my videos. But at the same time, then I, you know, hit record and then I'm being a bitch and I'm talking shit about like Dylan Minette's hairstyle in Scream 5 and stuff like that. And then I'm like, I don't understand why people are getting mad at me in the comments. I just want to get away with what I'm saying. So that's why I feel like those
both
two
aspirational, right? And Sydney also, you know, she is the fight. Her fight has actual stages. You know, she's not just final girl survives her fight, ends up back at stage one, final girl, final fight, back at stage one. Her, from movie to movie, she has different stages. She is going from, you know, her initial fight. She goes into the second movie, which would be, what would the second movie be for her? It would be, she is trying to put something in the past, but she hasn't addressed it yet, right? So it's like still before her. She has to go through that.
She doesn't want to deal with her queerness, right?
That's the whole first trilogy, you know. And then when we finally start getting her back, she has started processing all of this through 4 and into 5. When she just, like, Ian loves this moment. He talks about it all the time. She hangs up on her trauma. She is just the aspirational fight of where you would like to end up you know?
Yeah. Well, and there's also that moment in 4 that I remember talking about before 5 came out that like she runs into the house when is it Liv Olivia, right? The girl that gets
Olivia.
like her guts like pulled
Yeah.
out. Like Sydney runs into that house to fight Ghostface. Like she's not like like I mean she's scared the way Sydney can still get scared, but like goes into it. But she just like doesn't think and goes right into that house, right? And she kicks fucking Ghostface in the face. Like I think that's an awesome moment.
Yeah.
And also like showing the difference between how far she's come in 1, where she is running away because she is scared, and 4, where it's like I'm scared, but I want to beat up this motherfucker because I want him dead. Like I don't want this to go on. I just want to end it. And that's like her vibe in 4 and 5, which I love. And like that is aspirational, Zach. You're right. It's like that's what we as like queer people would want to be like, to be able to be like, oh, this person called me a faggot, I'm gonna kick him right in the fucking head, whatever. Like
right,
that's
but it's like it's very different for a lot of I'm not going to speak for every gay person, but like at least for me, being in high school, very badly bullied, I didn't want to be seen. I just wanted to go to my classes and go home. Whereas now, not that I'm like running into like homophobic people's houses, trying to kick ass, but now I have a strength where if I hear something like that, I will speak up.
Right.
So I don't know, like her entire journey just feels like a gay man's journey to me.
Well, and a lot of that does come with, and even, gay men aside, like that just also comes with age, right? It's like most of us will stand up for ourselves as we get older and realize like, the things you were too embarrassed to talk about or speak up about, or, not while people were laughing at you, you kind of laugh along with them because you don't want to be the butt of the joke. You'd rather be inside the joke, We let that go as we get older, and as we see Sydney get older, she's doing all of that same sort of thing.
Horror in general. So like Buffy and Scream both. There's a reason we go back to this, right? And I do think that like it also like a reason like gays do like superheroes. Nick, I know you like superhero shit the way I do. Like, right? It's like there's a queerness to like having a like whether you can be yourself with your powers and like when you have to like pretend and like keep them in check and not show people like what those powers are. And like Jada Spenson, when I had her on Slayerfest, she talked about how she felt Buffy was queer before there was Willow and Tara. And I agreed with her because Buffy has this big coming out scene in Becoming with her mom, and her mom kicks her out. And I do think that like Final Girls are kind of the same way. Like gays relating to Final Girls is the way gays relate to superheroes, right? It's like kind of like, Sydney just wants to be left alone, but she has this terrible fucking drama that's like connected to her family, connected to her life. She misidentified the murderer of her mother. And like, I do feel like in general, that's why gays do like horror, because we can relate to that part. And like, they're underestimated, but they still fight. And like, they're underestimated, but they still like make it. And like, I feel like Sydney Prescott is more of your typical final girl, but like in real life, that's not the person you would think that would make it. The more quieter, like wants to be alone, like whatever one. Gail in real life feels like the one that would be the one to kick your ass if you're trying to murder her. And I do think that gays can relate to that just in general in horror. So like adding in a gay writer who's like purposely being like, this is going to be a little queer, like it's going to automatically draw in more gay people.
Sydney's especially queer though.
Yes,
I mean, obviously,
absolutely.
I don't know if she's actually queer, but like, I just think if you compare her to somebody like Laurie Strode, I think with Sydney, it's constantly having people come at you that you don't want to come at you. And it's always random, well, not random people. It's not, her brother or something like that. Like it's always random people. And she constantly has to overcome this. And she just wants to be left alone. She just wants to live, but it's something that she can't escape.
Yeah. Yes.
Like your sexuality, like that's a part of who you are, and I like that. Like it's she's got this level of acceptance to her as she gets older, which a lot of us have, not everybody, but and I feel like even as an adult, like we're able to identify with her when she shows up in 5. Like she looks snatched, but she's been through it before. She knows exactly what to do.
And she's able to be a mentor, right? Like, I know she wasn't doing a whole lot of mentoring in 5, but there were moments of mentorship. whatever that word would be, you know.
Sam,
yeah.
Sam, you're gonna be all right eventually.
You'll be all
deal
right
with being
eventually.
gay
I've been through
eventually.
this a lot, you know, and she does try to take her under her wing a little bit. It's just you know, not everybody's gonna live the same exact experience, right? But she represents the aspirational experience of like being able to overcome your trauma, and then she just keeps getting brought back in. But that's not her fault. That's not her fault.
Would you
You
say
say
then
trauma one more time. I'm gonna call you Jamie Lee.
in 5 is she like the sort of happy queer older person that the new generation needs?
Yeah.
Like
she
Sam
is
and
what
Tara
they need. Yes.
look up to Gail and Sydney and they're like, wow, like we could be like that one day. But I mean, Gail's still getting chased by Ghostface.
So there's also something I want to talk about that I do think this draws in queer fans and gay fans in general, is the fact that like this horror series specifically has always had the same final girls. Like they're not killing them, they're not giving them 10 timelines, they're not like changing their characters. They're there and we get their story. So it's like we progress with them, we progress with their drama, right? We get the drama of Gail and Sydney, and by 5 they are fine. There's not really a drama to them. But like there's something we gravitate towards with that, right? It's like an ongoing story where they are squarely at the forefront of the series until 5. They are the faces, right? They are the main characters. They are the focus. So there's something to be said with like these like gorgeous women who are able to overcome this time and time again and consistently are there and like kind of there for each other, right? Because they're surviving together. Even in 1 and 2, when they don't really like each other, they are still surviving together, right?
If Sydney and all of the killers are the gay person and the bullies and the homophobic people, then Sydney and Gail to me are the example of overcoming the difference of opinions and learning to coexist with the people who may not understand you. Because I mean, at the end of the day, like even in 5, like I highly doubt that Sydney Prescott and Gail Weathers like each other.
They went to Waffle House
They've
after
learned
that, and then Sydney got on a plane, and they were having
No, I think
She was like, "You write another book, bitch." I don't care what you say to me right now. If you write another book,
I do think they like each other. I think they're fine. Like I think Sydney, it's like by osmosis, just like being with her so often. Sydney's like, all right. Like I don't think Sydney would have it in her to be like, no, I fucking hate that bitch. Like I feel like Sydney would be like, yeah, we're friends.
I mean, I guess if we're going with the analogy that like they're two people that have a similar experience, right, that maybe don't like one another, but like they have each other's backs. It reminds me of like there are a lot of gay people I don't like, but like every time there's a protest, it's like I am happy to see, like I'm like, good, I'm glad that fuck showed up, like you know. You know what I mean, where it's like they are bonded, but they're not, they understand one another, they know each other, but it's like, and that's all it has to be.
I think that's a really good analogy, Mike.
Yeah, they're bonded by a similar circumstance, but really, like, had this circumstance not happened, they never would have crossed paths. They never would have known each other. Right. They like, and that's honestly probably how the universe would have wanted it. You know, is like there's no reason for them to be in each other's lives.
You know, of course, like Gail's my favorite, Sydney's my favorite, but like I feel like gays can relate to both like different women, right? Both are like underestimated. Gail is like, I mean, I've said this a zillion times, but in a lesser written horror movie, Gail absolutely would have died in that first movie. She would have been punished for being ambitious, for being kind of shitty. And like, she absolutely would have died. But like, she's allowed to be domineering and annoyed with the people around her.
Yeah.
And also she's fucking right. I go back to that so often, that she is right from them and Sydney's wrong.
And gays are always right.
And like, well, no, I'm just saying, like, she's not the type of character. She absolutely would have been painted as wrong, completely coming from the wrong, like, whatever. But she's allowed to be an asshole and also be right, which I really like. Because, like, you know, in horror in general, usually it's like the bad people are being killed, and she would have been fallen under that umbrella of like the bad people, right? Like the way she is in 1. But she's allowed to be that, and she's also allowed to be like hyper feminine. Like she has these like you know, her lime green outfit in her first scene that is camp and that is wonderful, and I love it. Like that's my favorite Gail outfit. I wish she was in it the whole movie. My
favorite too. I went as her for Halloween, did drag for the very first time, got a wig custom made. I've got the microphone that I made
Mike's
back there.
drag was great,
and the green, like it's so ghoulish to introduce one of your main characters in this like neon green, like it's just psychotic. And like you look at it and you're like, what were we doing in the 90s? Like, but like it's just so, now I look at it like so lovingly. I'm like, yes, bitch. Like, oh, it's so fierce. And then you found out it was Versace, which I was like, that's even cooler. Like,
Yeah.
because Gail couldn't afford that. Like Gail Scream 1 couldn't afford that, right?
That's true. Yeah.
She probably like, yeah. And then like she just grows over the course of the franchise. I also like, I mean, besides Sydney and Gail, there are so many women across the franchise that you just care about in a way that like, I don't think you care about other characters in horror movies, like side characters.
Yes.
The way the Scream franchise just really nails it every single time. You're like, why did Sarah Michelle Gellar have to die? Parker Posey, like, I like Jennifer Jolie is just like
how many people have survived a stomach stabbing, right? Jennifer Jolie is fine. Get up.
I think she's
You're
alive
okay.
too. You want to all right, so like here's where I become the Stu microwave head. I'm like, Jennifer Jolie is still alive, and if she doesn't take off the ghost face mask in 6, I won't ask for a refund, but I'll be a little I'll be a little sad.
You know who would capitalize off of a fucking book deal would be Jennifer Jolie.
Well, she would go after Gail too. Like she's like, I don't care about Sydney. Like, it's like,
yeah.
If you unfortunately can't have Neve Campbell right in the movie, but Sydney's still alive in the world, it's like, why, so I think hey, now we're getting on a different subject. Sorry. Back to being gay and talking about Scream.
So everybody, this is just what film and TV does for us. Everybody will see themselves in a role in a movie, in the projected their own identities onto whatever it is, gay, straight, whatever. But queer people do it in a very specific way that we all understand. It's just like an unspoken sort of thing. And you're right. This franchise gives us a plethora of those characters. And I think I'm trying to think through all of them really fast right now, because we do have Billy and Stu at the very front of all of this. But throughout the rest of it, all of the male characters kind of, we don't get that Billy Stu energy again. We don't get that queer coding. We don't get that. I don't know if I have projected at all onto any of the other male characters throughout the movies, possibly, but it's not. I'm trying to really think about it, but it's always the women.
I mean, this might be like, I don't know, whatever. I can't think of after Randy's death until Dewey's death, but like that's different. He's not a new character.
Right.
I feel like Chad is maybe the only other man who was just introduced in the movie that I was like, no, I don't want him to, like, he was like maybe the only man that's introduced in his movie and dies, but doesn't die.
I'll say that though, that's projecting. I can project onto him, and maybe not his identity, but him being the kind of gay friendly one who wouldn't.
I mean, I respectfully want to project on Mason.
Oh, absolutely.
Like let's just put that out there, Mason.
No, right? Yeah, I think I think he's the guy that would be cool with all the gay guys. Like he's like would be like chill and whatever.
Well, I think that also goes to like Dewey is the guy for a bulk of the franchise, and he is so in love with Gail that like that's also why I think we really gravitate towards it. It's like there's a romance element to Scream that like doesn't exist in other horror movies, and it's like you can take it or leave it, but it's like it's the reason you root for all these characters so much is because you want Gail and Dewey to make it work. And then I just watched 4 last night and I was like, oh, they're married, and then I'm like, oh man, and 5, I have 5 to watch tonight, and I'm like, and we know how that ends. Like it's just so sad. Which it's like I can't like, I mean, Laurie Strode's timeline is all over the place, right? Like Friday the 13th doesn't really have anybody outside of Tommy that like you sort of are always,
and he's played by a different actor in every movie, isn't he?
Yeah. So it's like and like, okay, fine, that might be unfair to compare, right? It's apple to oranges, but like it stands alone, this franchise in that regard.
And I think on what you said, like there's something to be said for the fact that, like you said, you can take or leave that romance. It's not like they're not like beating you over the head with it, because I fucking hate a like shoehorned in weird romance plot that like stops a thing dead. And it never does, right? It's like part of the moving plot where it's like they're kind of talking about it, but it's not like a huge focus.
to bring it back to the to land the plane in the gay territory, it's like Randy gets killed in 2, right? And like Gail and Dewey go off to like investigate, and like they get horny and start like they're about to have sex in public, like, and that's like this boy just died, this young man just died that you knew from high, it's like, and you're like, yes, now's the time, like, it's like, of course gays, like that's how you bring it back. We're like, yeah, that makes sense.
Only the
that's
gays.
Right.
I think
Like, wow, that was sad, but let's fuck.
Yeah. Oh, poor Randy. Anyway.
Stay blessed. All right, that's fine.
I didn't care about Randy's death all that much. I have to say it. It didn't hit for me.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of revisionist history with Randy, because unfortunately Jamie Kennedy's a little problematic, and like people have kind of walked that back. You can put like the sort of Xander type on him, where he is like a nice guy, and like but like I don't think he does it to Sydney in a way, like I think there's only one scene where he's like flirting with her, and one like it's that like cutaway where they're like talking about the VHSs that all the movies Jamie Lee's in, and like, but like other than that, he's only talking to Stu about it.
Problematic. Like, I don't think his character's problematic.
Some people do. So like in this wonderful
just like
fandom we're
connected to
part
him
of.
less.
Oh, I really like Randy because as a little gay, well, an older gay than you were when it came out. I very much, it was like, I'm the one that has the movie facts. I read Entertainment Weekly like it was a fucking Bible. Every week I would buy that magazine. My family got a subscription to Entertainment Weekly. Like that was like, I was just reading about every single TV show, movie, even if I wasn't interested, because like that was my escapism, and like that in comic books. So like I was definitely like, I liked him in that aspect where it was like, oh, I'm the one that doesn't have a love interest because I'm a faggot, and like I'm the one that just like I can like have cute movie quotes and movie facts, and like that's the end of that. So I feel like that's why I related to him. Also, he looks like a lesser man Seth Green, and I have a huge crush on Seth Green, so it's like,
well, there you go,
a little bit of a crush,
right?
A direct-to-video Kmart version.
Yes.
Only available at Kmart.
I think back then they looked more alike. I don't think they do anymore, but I think back then they both were like the short, kind of like alt-looking dude.
Jamie Kennedy is tall. We've been through this.
Oh,
he's
we
like
have,
6
haven't
foot.
we?
Yeah, he's at least 6 foot.
I always thought he was short.
I think
because he looks short
tall.
next to them.
No, I think he looks tall. I don't know.
When Stu and Billy are like at him, he's like lower than them.
I don't know about that. Kirby is my favorite version of the Randy sort of character that they've put in there, right? This is the one that I look at her outfit, I'm like, yes, love the outfit, love the hair, love her attitude, and this is the version of Randy that I want to see. I wish she would have gotten a little bit more of a chase in 4.
Yeah, but
maybe
But then she gets that moment right before she does get stabbed that nobody will ever shut up about.
I do feel like Kirby's very queer coded, but also even if like you're not rating her as queer, she's absolutely the character queer people gravitate towards, right?
Yeah.
Like even if you're like, no, she's 100% straight, it's like, okay, but she's still like the cool girl that like queer girls would crush on and queer boys would want to be best friends with, right?
Yes.
I don't know, like I feel like with the gays, like it's weird that they didn't. I mean, granted, I have my issues with 4, but it's weird to me that they did not like 4 as much, especially like compared, because everybody used to shit on 3.
Yeah.
I mean, they still do.
They still do.
Now
Yeah.
that's sort of getting a little bit more of a reappraisal lately. And I don't know, like 4 to me is very gay. It's probably the gayest one since the original, in my opinion. Like, honestly, I'm still shocked that when we first see Kirby, that she wasn't driving a U-Haul truck. Because she's just very, very gay to me. Like, I feel like she... Yes, exactly. The gays can't drive.
Gays can't drive.
But yeah, I don't know. 4 is...
Well, there's also
very
something about, like, I mean, Charlie is a little, like, androgynous, too. And, like, he's got the longer hair. So it's like, you could read into that a little bit, too, of, like, oh, like, she's into Charlie because he kind of looks a little feminine.
And there's the homage to the first season of Drag Race with the filter, as we all know.
Right. Oh my God. Do you know, I like, it's one of my, like, it's so hard to watch.
We just reacted to the trailers for...
I was shocked.
There is no filter in that trailer.
I wanted to tell Mike that.
Added in post.
Because we watch a trailer and it's so obvious it's not there. And it's so weird.
Okay, because I was shocked. I was like, who shot this? I was like, it couldn't have been. And I was like, it's the same DP from 2 and 3. I was like,
Oh,
what?
really?
Like,
Just trying
yeah,
something new. Sometimes we
it's
do
the
that.
exact. Yeah, and I was like that the coffee shop scene when Gail comes to Sydney's book signing, and it's
the
like
light behind her is insane.
the blowout behind her. I'm like, sorry, I don't know what the fuck's going on in Woodsboro. Who cares about those teens that just got murdered? Because like you guys need to check the air
It
quality.
looks like my contact
something's
is
going
flipping. You have to
on.
like check it, check your
Yeah.
eyes, make sure there's
Oh
no
my
gunk in there.
god, yeah, it's
That's
I do
camp.
think-
That's
I do-
campy. That's queer.
I do think the filters-
That's true. Yeah, the
After
filter.
that, I think it's like gets not as bad, but like that is the worst, I think.
Speaking of iconic women in the Scream series, the 2 women in the bathroom of Scream 1 talking so much shit about Sydney's
Bubble
slut
butt
mother
boyfriend.
and yeah, with her bubble butt boyfriend. Like, like you. It's just like it's why we keep coming back to it. It's just like there's so many different flavors in this universe that like really is in a genre that like has always just been relegated to like, oh, that's trash, like nobody cares, those are shitty movies. And it's like here's this wealth of characters.
I feel like they cast women who are like beloved, like Carrie fucking Fisher has a cameo in 3, right? Like
And it's great.
Sarah Michelle
It's so
Gellar,
good.
like all of these actors, it's like I don't think it's on purpose, but it feels like it is.
The
Right? It
casting's
feels
the
like
big
they're
thing we
like
should have started this whole thing with. We should have
I mean,
started that at the top.
Jada Pinkett is
Yes.
the opening of 2 is
like they get like iconic,
iconic.
woman after
Yeah.
iconic woman. Like
Jenna Ortega's The Moment. I'm blanking on Mindy's name. What's the actress?
Jasmine Savoy Brown.
Yes. I mean, like she's also great on Yellow Jackets, and she's having a moment. I mean, we haven't even talked about Mindy.
Rebecca Gayheart.
Yeah, Rebecca Gayheart.
Portia de Rossi.
Portia de
She is
Rossi.
about
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Portia de Rossi, she is a lesbian. That's going to be our tagline.
Well, and like I always forget, and I meant to look this up the other day. Rebecca Gayheart and Portia de Rossi, were they like remotely known when they were cast in 2, or were they not known yet?
Yeah,
I think she was the Noxema girl at that point already.
Rebecca Gayheart. Yeah, I feel like she have something on the WB at the time. It feels like she would have. And then Portia was on Ally McBeal at the time, I think.
Oh, you're right, she was. I always forget that she started in Ally McBeal.
Yeah. Yeah. So they were, and then very quickly after that, Rebecca Gayheart was in Urban Legend.
Like a cameo from Carrie Fisher is like feels like a fucking wink at the gay audience, right?
Mhm.
Like and it's such a bananas. Like I think Carrie Fisher's cameo is the most unhinged cameo of the franchise because she's playing a woman who looks like Carrie Fisher. It's like a wink, right? It just has to be. It has to be on purpose, stupid, silly camp.
I mean, it's definitely not as unhinged as Jay and Silent Bob, but yeah, like I love that scene's so great. She
and she's good in it, yeah.
Yeah, she makes fun of the fact that like she could have slept with George Lucas, and it's
That's
Judy
pop
Jurgensen.
Culture, pop culture, gossip and rumors that, just to say, the straight audience probably hasn't picked up all on,
Yeah.
Right.
That is
Yeah.
a wink. It has to be.
Yeah.
And she's not a cameo, but Jenny McCarthy.
Just for the gays. It's gay.
Exactly. But I also feel like David Arquette is, because if you think about it, like other than Billy and Stu, there's not like the characters that most people are drawn to are usually the female characters, well, like the queer community, except Dewey. Dewey seems to be the exception. And I feel like it's because Dewey isn't super hyper masculine.
Yeah.
Like he's somewhere in the middle. And like for me, like I always loved Dewey. I thought Dewey should have died in 2, but I've always loved Dewey because Dewey was, I don't know, he was just soft and wholesome, and I liked that energy. It was like somewhere between Gail and Sydney.
Well, he was soft boy, right? He was soft boy, and in the way that he was styled, it like called back to some gay imagery, right? Like the mustache is very gay. It just the way they kind of put him in a cop outfit feels a little gay.
Almost the way like straight women, when they love being around gay men, it's like non-threatening. He would be the straight non-threatening guy.
Exactly.
Right. Like he would be like, I mean, he wouldn't be like the guy that's flirting with gay guys, but he would be like fine, right? Like he would be like, yeah, I'll go to a gay bar, sure. Like me and Gail will go and meet you.
Right.
And he would probably just be kind of quiet, but be nice. And that's like a like safe space of like straight men for us, right?
Well, I mean, I think Wes, right, with his hair, like you brought it up earlier, Nick, Dylan Minnett's bleach job. It's like, what's that Jack Donaghy quote? Like that hair is a little bisexual or something like.
We've came in right at the end of a crisis moment, right? He's dyed his hair. He's.
And then can we talk about?
It looks good on him though.
I agree. I think it does look good on him. Can we also talk about the fan service though of putting him in the shower? Like it was like we won. Like I was like yes. Like
so like we know it's mostly gays here, so the guy's gonna be naked in the shower. And that is like, a good body.
Great.
Like Jesus Christ.
He looked great. Well, and like I mean, this is an answer. I don't think Derek reads as queer, but then like Derek's like hung up on that cross star thing, right? All shirtless, and in the end of 2. So it's like we've got and then obviously I think Mason Gooding is just the hottest guy in the Scream franchise. Like we get
speechless.
we really it's like we get these strong female characters and then hot guys. Like it's perfect and scares. I'd be remiss if we didn't bring up Casey Becker, because the other gay thing I think about the franchise is the wigs. Like Casey's wig is iconic. Gail's awful bangs in 3, I still kind of like them. I know they look bad. Okay, great. Nick and I are on the same page.
When you were
It's not
talking
the
about
same
like your favorite
if you take
outfit,
it
I
out.
was
Yeah,
like,
if you take them out, it's not the same.
Scream 3 when she walks into the studio and she's got the yellow outfit on. It wasn't even up until like maybe like 5-6 years ago that I was like, oh, people don't like her bangs.
I mean, I don't like Gail's. I feel like I just love Gail, so it's like, oh, whatever. This was her bangs phase, is how I look at it. Like I'm not like
the red streaks in 2, where like her and Sydney are both like we went to the same hairdresser but we're enemies still. Like
I think that's insane that they got the exact same haircut. Like I like think about that sometimes. I'm like, that's so weird that the 2 leads who were not matching ever again or ever before had the exact same hairstyle. Like
it's
And I was reading something that I wasn't sure if it meant that it was planned, but I read that like the actresses had just happened to get the same haircut.
It was very of the times, so it doesn't surprise. Yeah, like it never bothered me when I remember like when the stills came out in the trailers for that. I was like, yeah, that seems like they're just like of the moment right now.
You're talking about for 2?
For
2. Yeah. Like both of them having sort of similar hair. I wasn't bumped by it is what I'm saying. Like I was like, yeah, that looks everybody has that hair now except for Sarah Michelle Gellar.
5 is the one that if you actually look at all the females' hair, like it's all basically the exact same hairstyle.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
Well, we've lost a little bit of that. We have lost a little bit of so we're so obsessed with Buffy, right? Because I mean, a bunch of different reasons, but one big one is everybody remembers the fashion, remembers the hairstyles, remembers all of these little like looks that they gave us, right? And Scream does that a lot. Yeah. But I feel like the last one didn't give us looks as much as the rest of them have.
I agree.
I will defend because I think that's my favorite Sydney look ever.
Really?
Is her look in 5. Yeah. She looks fucking hot in those tight skinny jeans.
Of course, she looks
and the little
fantastic.
Boot and the red leather jacket. Ooh, I think and her hair looks fucking fantastic.
Amazing. Neve Campbell is gorgeous, right?
Yeah.
But like, does it stand out to me? I don't think it does.
I agree with Ian on Sydney's look in 5. 5 and 3, I think, are the best. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm thinking of that brown jacket with the green hoodie underneath and the Greek letters, like the final sequence outfit. Like those are probably my 2 favorite Sydneys. I don't like how Gail looks in 5. I'm excited to see more from 6 because purple is my favorite color and she's wearing that. But yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like the fact that we're off topic just discussing hair right now is like this answers the prompt.
It's very
because this is what it's providing.
I've got the edit going in my head. Yes, this is gonna be very much part of it. It's just like we pay attention to looks. You know?
We'd be silly to not bring this up, Zach, because we interviewed the costume designer for Scream, right? She is the costume designer from Buffy. It is wild that those were her 2 jobs. She stopped doing costuming. she like peaked, was like, I did the best. Fuck everyone. You're never gonna match me. Because like we talk about the outfits in both those things a lot, right? Like
Right.
Buffy, we're always talking about the outfits, and in Scream, we're always talking about the outfits. And it's wild that both of them had the same person. I mean, she only worked on Scream 1, but still, like those outfits are very iconic. And like Zach and I had like, Zach and I aren't both like big on fashion, but like we both loved listening to her talk about how she styled them and like what she was picturing. Like Sydney had to be more plain because they wanted it to be like Sydney could possibly be a suspect and like not stand out. And like Gail was standing out, and that's why she put Gail in the green. And like,
Right.
I don't know, I find that shit really interesting.
I love Tara.
Well, and even like her, like she's styled more like toned down. I would say she's styled more in the like vein of Casey Becker, right? Just like a plain sweater, jeans, that's it. Like nothing wild to make her more like, and I don't mean because she's of course gorgeous, but I mean like to make her more relatable, like more everyday person. She's not like dressed extravagantly.
But this franchise still does something in a way that with the people who are supposed to be a little bit more muted and a little bit supposed to be the more of the everyday person, right? In the just the under eye makeup running, or where her wounds are. The wounds are just as much a shirt as the actual shirt that they have on, right? We remember these Final Girl wounds.
One thing that I've noticed, like before 5 came out, I was watching every known reaction to the rest of the series, and I'm doing the same thing now for all the people that haven't seen 5. And what I have noticed is the girls and the gays love Roger L. Jackson's voice. They always point out how sexy the voice is, and I think that is a factor as well.
Yes.
Oh.
It's a very gay thing. Listen, okay. Hearing somebody, and it goes back to like seeing, Craigslist ads or like Grindr or all of those things. It is just the voice on the phone. You don't see him. It's almost like the headless torso, right? It's
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying, don't you?
Yeah.
Anon DL. Yep.
That's
hands up. That voice does nothing for me.
In a nutshell, that's really?
I mean, I do think he's a fantastic voice actor. Like
There's one moment where where he says like really elongated, and I think that it's just like so sexy.
While I will say though, it's like fun camp. The name thing is like a little much. I do think the names are a little much.
Sure. I love that Gail Hailstorm.
Do you ever sometimes stop and think, wow, that is such a stupid name? Like sometimes when I'm typing it, I'm like, it's wild that this name is still like, and it's like a clear camp name, but it's like, now it's so like, I don't even think about.
I mean, I think the first time I saw it, I was like, Gail Weathers. But like now I'm like,
right? That's what I mean. Like now it's
perfect.
That's
perfect.
Gail.
Yeah, I feel like they don't really have a lot of like weird names because you had Gail Weathers, you had Cotton Weary.
Yeah.
The Cotton.
Well,
Who
and
else
like,
did we have though?
I feel like they were
a little. I thought that
Dewey
was
is weird. Yeah.
All the names in 3 are like Mad Libs of famous actors, which I also love.
Absolutely camp. Like, what is it? Angelina, what's her last name?
Angelina Tyler. And Jennifer Jolie. I don't know who the guys
Sarah
are.
Darling, which
Sarah
is
Darling.
She's dressed like Sarah Michelle Gellar, like she's like styled in the same colors as Sarah Michelle Gellar.
I also remember in the original script for Scream 3, the opening it before it was Cotton, it was Ben Damon.
Wait, really?
That's
funny. And he gets killed underneath the Hollywood sign. I do like how technically, I mean, it was Roman on the phone. Like he thinks it's a girl, but he is fully flirting with a man on the phone.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we have reached the end of this here episode. Nick, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on YouTube. I have a reaction channel. It is Nick Says Boo. And you could also check me out on Patreon, Twitter, and Instagram, also at Nick Says Boo.
All right. What about you, Mike?
You can find me at Michael Ryan P on all socials, and then you can check out my website, MikePattersonEdits.com. Got a cool queer horror slasher short that I just finished editing that should be out later this year that is very, very close to our favorite slasher. So keep an eye out for that.
Already excited for that one. Okay, well, one final question then. Which of the survivors from 5 is the first to die?
Chad.
Damn, you are really putting that out into the universe. Leave him alone.
I love him.
I think here's the other thing about this franchise. I love all these characters so much that I'm like, no, none of the new ones can die. None of the survivors can die. I have to say, just based off of the one trailer I've seen, I think Mindy.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I think both the twins are gonna die, but I think Chad will be.
Oh, I can't.
I'm going to say either Chad or Tara. I have a feeling that they're going to kill off Jenna Ortega.
Kind of get that feeling.
I don't like it.
No, I don't
but
like
I think
that.
that they're going to do it.
I really, in my brain, I think it'll be the Kirby, Gail, Sam, and Tara as the last one standing by the end.
I think so, too.
Oh, I forgot about Kirby. I have a feeling Kirby is going to die.
You think so? I feel like I've had so like I tell that I've talked to a lot of like author friends just to like get what they like from their writer brain, and like almost all of them been like Kirby has to live because they don't know if they'll get Sydney back. So like they think that like Kirby's either Ghostface or going to live because they don't know if they'll get Sydney back. So it's like you gotta have a little bit more legacy going into the final one. While I feel like I'm pretty sure they will get Sydney's character back in the next movie, you know, there is a chance that they wouldn't. So I do feel like that makes sense that they'd be like, we need her to live just in case, and then we can kill her in the next one.
Okay. Well, it's crazy because by the time this comes out, it's like it's either the day of Scream 6 or it's, you know, tomorrow.
Zach and I will be seeing it together.
It's wild, man. Do you think we're getting Scream 7 next year, or do you think they're gonna give us a gap year?
I think we'll get it next year.
You think?
Because I think 6 is going to do buku money at the box office. So I think they're going to give us 7, and that'll round out the trilogy, and then we probably won't get another one.
At least see it 3 times. Okay.
Give
them our gay dollars.
Yeah, I already have plans to see it 3 times.
Are you kidding, Zach? I was going to ask you if you wanted to see it again Saturday night.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Let us know all your thoughts. What is some of the gayest stuff you love about the Scream franchise? And we will talk to you next time.
Bye.